What's going on, everybody? This is video number 2. That's why you're gonna notice I'm wearing the same clothes. I just did one about the Ford. But anyways, someone told me to make a video on a thought I had and see what everybody else thinks. So, I have a theory, or yeah, we'll just call it a theory for now, that all the scientists that work on the Mars project are dead wrong. Maybe not all of them. I'm pretty sure there might be one or two that correlate with my theory. Sorry, I'm a little shy. When it comes to these type of thoughts, I don't like to say it out loud because people tend to make fun of people who think like this or something like that. But anyways, it's a little weird. So, right now, the theory is on Mars is that Mars once already existed, that it already came and gone. That before even Earth, Mars had green. And then when Earth formed, Mars still had green. And then over the years, eventually over meteor impacts, all that stuff, the atmosphere faded away, all that. Okay, so now we know Mars today. And they're saying, well, now they're seeing running water on Mars. They're seeing, they're finding bacterial minerals and stuff like shit like this. That Mars could one day come back to life. This is where I disagree 100%. I don't believe Mars ever had green. I don't believe Mars ever came before Earth or had green before Earth by any means. I think that's way out there exaggeration of the planet. So I'm going to give you my theory, and then you guys tell me what you think. Maybe I'm just crazy, right? Okay, so I found these two things. Mars is about half the size of Earth. Pretty damn close to it. So I'm going to use these. Okay, this being Mars, this being Earth. Okay, so I want you to take a notice of the two. Earth is much larger, which means its engine, its life source is much larger. The seed, whatever you want to call it, the core, it's more powerful, more larger. It doesn't make quite a lot of sense that the more powerful engine took longer than the less powerful engine. And a lot of people will say, well, Cole, it's because it's smaller, it takes less energy to produce life, therefore life is faster on Mars. So like life comes and goes on Mars quicker than it would on Earth. Good theory. One issue with that. A lot of people that make that argument don't take into account the distance. And they also don't take into account not only the gravitational pull of our sun, which is pretty much this pillow in comparison. And on the other side of that, our atmosphere, our magnetic sphere actually influences Mars. And a lot of people don't take into account that Jupiter, which is pretty much this size in comparison, is on the opposite side, and its magnetic sphere and everything messes with Mars's. So it's got three different things messing with its atmosphere, messing with its magnetic field, messing with the pole. Okay? So instead of like a normal planet, which would just rotate and circle around its planet, and, right, or its star, Mars kind of wobbles as it goes around its star between the two poles. Whenever Earth and or the Sun and Jupiter is on the opposite side of Mars, Mars does a little jiggle because it's getting pulled by something powerful on this side, but not quite powerful enough to pull it out of its orbit, right? Because the Sun, as we know, is way more powerful. So it holds it there. But because of the Jupiter, it has a little bit of a wobble effect. And because of Earth, when that gets in there, that wobble effect's even greater. So no, I don't think Mars had an opportunity like it has now to produce life. Now the universe around it, or the space around it, is less docile, less hectic. It's less, or should I say, more docile. It's more it's less chaotic. Okay, so now it has the opportunity to sprout water, to sprout new things that we now discovered on Mars. that we've never seen before. Like running water coming out of the ground. Never saw that before. We're seeing it now. Well, hear me out on my theory. So, my theory is Earth was born way before Mars. Mars was formed before Earth, I'm sure. But Earth, being the larger sister, the larger mama, she had a bigger engine, more powerful engine, and sprouted fast. I don't believe that she came in later on. Now, how can I prove this? Well, we have to go back on the history of Earth. Like, for an example, at the beginning, Earth wasn't green, luscious water, anything. It was a big ball of molten rock. It was like one big giant volcano. It was all it was. It had cracks in the surface. It was chaos at its maximum level. So over time, it died down. It became a desolate desert all across the globe. All north, south, east, west, it was just desert. It was fucking sand, it was molten rock, it was everything. But it wasn't water, it wasn't green, it wasn't nothing. It was Mars. It's exactly what it was at the beginning of its life cycle. It's at this beginning, this is where it actually kicks in before Mars. Because of all that chaos, it triggered that life seed. It triggered that effect where it now sprouted water. It now sprouted. And because of the space around it now becoming less hectic, less asteroids smacking, less this, less that, it has time to settle. Right? And then water started to spew from the surface, like on Mars. Minerals, bacteria, all these things started to surface, like on Mars. Why? Because it has time to settle. Plus, it doesn't have Mars with this massive magnetic field pulling it, making it have that wobble effect. It stayed stationary, just spinning, a little bit of a wobble, going around the sun like every other planet, moon, and everything around its orbit. So Mars didn't, and you gotta remember, Earth is actually right in the perfect zone. Okay, it's not in the center, it's more on the inside of it. See, there's a lot of people tell you, oh, the perfect zone, we're in the perfect zone, but they don't explain to you that there's points of the perfect zone. Okay, yes, there is a perfect zone. Okay, perfect zone. Where if you get a planet that goes inside that zone, you have a planet that can produce life. Doesn't matter where it is on the zone, but it does matter the time, which proves my theory. It matters the timeline within that zone. So being in here, on this side, you have the Earth-like planet where it can sprout life right away. It's going to be less hectic because there's other bigger things pulling everything, all these big objects away from us. And everything that was big enough to hit us already has. Not saying there isn't any more. There's plenty out there that can wipe us out. But I'm just saying, because you wake up every day with a 1 in 10,000 chance of being smacked by an asteroid, wipes out our planet. Not just a little bit. I mean, gone. So, yeah. So it matters in this zone. And when you're on this outside zone, okay, say the sun's on this side, this is the sun. Well, if you're on this side of the zone, it takes longer because you're in the colder reaches of the habitable zone. You're not in the warmer reaches. You're not even in the center. You're on the colder side. So it takes way longer. Now, you take that. You take the magnetic field being messed with constantly. So it takes extra time to build up a strong enough magnetic field to resort to itself, so it can sustain itself. Just like the Earth, just like Jupiter, just every other planet. That it's all being affected by our sun. But they built up a magnetic sphere that was strong enough to withstand itself, or whatever type of planet it may be, or moon, or whatever. So Mars being a tiny planet. We're just a small planet, guys. Earth isn't as big as everybody thinks it is. It is a fucking tiny, teeny, weeny planet. Mars is only half the size. So, let's get on to Mars. So Mars, being in the colder areas, being affected constantly with the wobble, which fucks with the core of the planet. Okay, if the planet moves erratically like that, the core is being fucked with. So it's taken longer time. So I don't believe the planet is alive or has had life on it before. I believe that being that Earth started at a young age, she got pregnant at a young age, and at a young age she gave birth. Unlike Mars being or Earth being a teenage mother, Mars is a middle-aged mom who's having her first child. Think of it that way. Let me put it in simple, plain terms. Teenage mother, Earth. Middle-aged mother, Mars. And it has a lot to do with the distance of Mars from the sun, which takes a lot more time for warmth to hit the surface. It has everything to do with Jupiter, Earth, and the sun's magnetic fields constantly jambling the core of Mars by the wobble effect. And it's going to take a lot longer time for it to develop the atmosphere, magnetic sphere that it requires, because it's got all these things now. It has to, like the human body, take the human body for as a perfect example of any planet. When we have a development of a new planet, like say a new virus enters our body, what does our body do, right? It has to build up that immune system. It has to build up that. Well, it's the same thing with planets. So with all these things affecting little old Mars has to combat with all these different things in order to even sprout life. That's why I think they're all dead wrong. There was never life on Mars, never has been, never will be. Mars went through the molten age stage. It went through the asteroid and meteor stage. Now it's in the settling calm stage. Now it's in the desolate desert. It's a desolate desert. Sorry. And now it's just quiet. And what are we seeing? Water rise from the surface, just like Earth. So that's a theory that I've been working on for a very long time, many, many years. And that's what I've come to, the conclusion I've come to so far. But like anything, it's never official. There's always got to be something else to it. That's science. Science 101. You may think you found the cure. But now let's add this, and let's see if it's still a cure. That's what science is. We constantly combat our own answers. We're constantly fighting and arguing with ourselves up here. So that's why a lot of people that know me know I'm a really quiet guy. Like I live up here. And I don't like saying the things that are up here because, it's kind of weird. Like a guy like me thinking about Mars and Earth and stuff like that, astrology and shit, it just doesn't add up. But things I've been thinking about for years, right? I have many, many theories, but this is the one that's always been stuck with me, is I really think they're wrong on Mars. I don't think she was ever had life before. I think she's about to have life. I think we're about to witness the sprout. Well, we are witnessing the sprout of a new planet with life, like Earth. And it's going to be Mars. Why? Because it's in the habitable zone. All around the sun, it stays in that habitable zone. It just stays on the other side. So it takes longer. It takes longer, like the sun's rays take longer to hit it and heat it up and warm it up. It takes longer. Everything that's further away takes longer than what's closer. It's common sense. So, that's my theory on Mars. I think she's a middle-aged mom, about to have her first child, about time. But that's my theory. I think Earth was a teenage mother, and Mars is a middle-aged mother. And that's just going to be the way it works. And if scientists take this seriously and actually look into it, I think they might find ground for it. Also, that might help you think, okay, well, if we look into these other planets, maybe we don't have to, like, if you can figure out, like I just told you, there's these different lines within the habitable zone. And that determines the timeline of the planet. If you guys think about that, put that in perspective and actually do the calculation, you'll see. I'm sure I'm 100% right on this. And you'll probably come to the same conclusion about Mars. It's impossible for Mars to have had life before. It's just impossible. Only now, with everything calmed down, even more so in our universe through meteor strikes and asteroid impacts and Jupiter and Saturn and Uranus doing its job cleaning up the mess that's been left all behind from the beginning of our Milky Way or the beginning of our system itself, our heliosphere, whatever resides in that, which is all our planets, moons, and everything else. Anyways, I can go on and on and on, but that's my theory. Anyways, guys, hope you guys don't think I'm too crazy, but yeah, I think about that often. I honestly don't think Mars had life on it. I think Mars is about to have life on it, and it'd be cool if we saw it in our lifetime. Chances are I'll be in my 90s before we see anything real significant like Patch of Green, where they announce, "Oh, we just found peat moss on the side of a rock." Because you gotta remember, we haven't been all over that planet. There could be peat moss already on a rock somewhere. That shit grows anywhere in any condition. I don't understand if we really are serious about terraforming Mars. Why haven't we sent up little mini rockets, just enough to carry a patch of fucking peat moss to the planet, drop it in an area that peat moss can actually sustain itself in, which is like a nice little dry place with a little bit of moisture from the ground, like every other fucking plant. And let's let peat moss do its job. It takes over everything here on fucking Earth. Let's let it take over Mars. Maybe that'll help it. It'll help it, I don't know, do what it's got to do. I'm not a planet expert. I'm just a theorist. And somebody who just, I look at all the facts and it doesn't make sense to me how they can conclude that Mars had life before. That it was once green. No. Mars was never once green. Mars was just like Earth. A molten bowl of fucking molten rock and lava. What is it? Mount Olympia? No. Anyways, the biggest volcano in our system, and it's on Mars. There's one giant one there, and they got three bottom ones. It almost looks like a pyramid when you put them all together. It's kind of neat. But anyways, the point here is that it's everything I'm saying. It looks identical to Earth when Earth first started. Only makes sense that it's now going to start sprouting life. Never did before. So let me know what you guys think about that. And I hope I don't sound too crazy. Have a great day, guys.